Having trouble connecting. How about that? Okay. Is it working?
Saying live on my end.
It's saying live on your end. I don't. Can you guys hear and see me? Okay, we can see you now. Okay, well, it says it's not live on my end, but it says it's live, and people in the chat can see and hear me, and Caleb can see and hear me. All right. Well,
all good over here.
Sounds good. All right. So, guys, my name is Josh, also known as Harry Tornado, and I'm here with a good friend of mine, good reseller friend of mine, Caleb, and he goes by Phoenix Resale on YouTube and Instagram, right?
Yep.
It's awesome. And Caleb, I found him first because he sent me my little reseller award. Josh is back there on my little shelf. He sent me an award for most likely to get kicked out of Goodwill for bringing my dog. And I was like, look at this guy just jumping in the community and participating. And ever since then, I've kind of had my eye on you, like seeing what videos you were making. And you had some slow growth there in the beginning, but you were still making really solid content. And then, of course, you put out that huge hit giving away a PS5 and Xbox Series X to strangers. That video took off, really boosted your channel. And you've maintained the quality content since then. So I thought I'd get you on the show and we can talk about you, where you started from and how you got to where you are now. So
yeah, I appreciate that, man. I was wondering if you would remember that it was me that sent you that trophy, or if those dots would get lost along the way. I'm glad you picked up on that.
Yep. All right. I usually have a pretty good memory when it comes to like stuff like that, people going out of their way to do something really nice. And I thought that was a great idea. You know, people, I don't know, so many people just ask for random shout outs, you know, for no reason. I'm like, that's not the way to do it. But you had a super creative way to go about it with me and other top creators. I don't know if they responded the same way as I did. I didn't see anybody else, but I thought it was an awesome idea for sure.
Thanks.
So I guess just give like a brief autobiography about Caleb Phoenix Resale. How did you start reselling and get to where you are now?
Yeah, so I started reselling in fall of 2018. I was looking for a side hustle when my wife started law school, and just sort of went down the YouTube rabbit hole as you do. Started following a few resellers. The first couple were Reezy and Gary V and his Trash Talk series. Mm-hmm. And just kind of got to watching and was like, huh, this really seems like something that is possible. Like the barriers to entry in this like field of side hustle seem pretty low. So I think I'm just going to give this a shot. I started by flipping books that I would buy at Goodwill and book sales onto Amazon. And then gradually over time kind of evolved. I did some like online textbook arbitrage for a while, did like a lot of yard sales and stuff. And now my primary focus is video games. So that's, I would say this last year, probably 95% or so of my sales were in video games and also consoles. So now I source a lot at like Pawn Shop, and I do a lot of GameStop online arbitrage. Sometimes source at video game stores and yard sales, and on Facebook I do a lot of trades and stuff that way. And have been on YouTube for going on a year, I think about 11 months now. Yeah. And have been really happy with how it's gone so far.
Yeah, I bet. So 11 months and you're what, like 30, last I checked, you're like 32,000 subscribers.
Yep. Yeah. 34, I think now. So it's
crazy.
I was fully convinced when I started that I'd have to grind for over a year to get 1,000 subscribers. Yeah. So having been able to come this far in this time is just, I'm really grateful.
Absolutely. I think video games is not a category that should be new to most resellers, but I think that the way you go about selling them, like with the switch trades and selling on Amazon versus eBay, I don't think people realize how much more money you can get for video games on Amazon than you could on eBay. You're very open about your business as well. I mean, I've seen your videos about your pawn shop hauls and literally showing people the exact titles that you're selling on Amazon. And as the thumbnail for tonight's video said, you did, was it $448,000 in sales this year?
Yeah, something like that. And that's gross. That's not what I'm
Yeah.
taking home in my pocket. Those are like, the flashy gross numbers.
Yeah. You had to have the gross numbers for the clickbait. And then
Right.
now we can talk
Yeah, got
about
to get people in here, right? You guys
yeah.
click, don't laugh.
Yeah. But you said in the last video that I watched of yours that at least for that particular haul that you like to shoot for 100% ROI. After, Amazon fees are pretty hefty if you guys don't know. But even after all that, you like to shoot for 100% ROI. So I'm assuming that your net is probably 40 to 50% of that number.
Yeah, this year it ended up being less overall. I think you'll like the thumbnail of the video that I have coming out on Saturday,
Yeah.
because I discuss pretty in depth, like sort of a financial recap of this year. So I'm excited for that one. But yeah, this year ended up being a little bit less than that. I would say in general, maybe around 35% is what I'm actually taking home. But this year I had a lot of sort of one-time like reinvestment kind of expenses.
Mm-hmm.
So it ended up being closer to, I'd say like 20 or 25% after like taxes and like everything.
That's still really good though, especially
Yeah,
for
yeah, I'm really proud
I
of
think
it.
most Amazon resellers usually are happy with like a 20% ROI before all expenses, just like their profit on actually Amazon.
Right.
So that's awesome, man. And one of my favorite things about your pawn shop videos that you went into the pawn shop looking to get some deals on video games, and the guy at the pawn shop was like quoting eBay prices. He's like, I can't go any lower because we can sell these on eBay for, I think you were looking like 3DSs. They sell for like $150. But on Amazon, you're selling for like what, $250 or something, like $100 more than you could on eBay.
It's crazy, man. Yeah, that's one question that people have for me a lot is like, why do you sell on Amazon? And like, is it really true that people will actually pay these prices? And why would they? Like, if you can get something so much cheaper on eBay, why would anyone pay those prices? And there are a few answers. One is Amazon just has a tremendous amount of brand loyalty and customer trust. People love hassle-free returns. People love 2-day free shipping. For all those reasons. And also, I think people sometimes just assume that Amazon does have the best price without doing a lot of price shopping. Some people just aren't all that price sensitive, so they'll kind of take the quickest and easiest thing. And a lot of people just love buying on Amazon. So yeah, on a lot of stuff, especially right now, especially this year, the way that game and console prices have spiked on Amazon has just been really incredible. I haven't been reselling all that long, only a few years, but I certainly haven't seen anything like it. And the people who have been selling longer haven't seen anything like it. It's been pretty crazy. So yeah, you could sell this exact same thing for around 150 on eBay. So at this pawn shop, I was buying it for these things for like 120, I believe. And then after fees, getting 180 to 200 on Amazon, which is lower than the 100% ROI I normally like, but on higher dollar items that are going to sell the week they hit the warehouse, I'm happy to sacrifice those margins a little bit. That's one thing that as I have sort of grown as a reseller and as I've had access to more capital to use, that's a change that I've kind of made over the years. Is I used to look to like put $2 in and get like 6 to 10 out. Now I'm totally fine with putting 10 in to like get maybe 7 out if it means that I can do significantly more quantity, right?
Yeah.
Like more volume.
That's the key. I mean, you look at literally every single major retailer, and they're operating at 1-2% profit margins. They're putting in, we're going to put in 100 million and we're going to make 1 million. And that's pretty good, because if you can put in a billion or 100 billion, then the money's there, and it's all about quantity with those big companies. And I mean, while it's definitely fun, going to the bins or going to the thrift store and buying something for $2 and selling it for 100, it's not really something you can do continually, and you can't really scale that. So I think you're definitely onto something. Huge shout out to Foster the Picker, gave a $20 super chat. Let me pull it up on the screen here.
Oh yeah, he has a great channel as well. He's another pretty video game heavy reseller as well.
Yeah. A lot of resellers love video games, man, because they sell really quickly, whether you're selling eBay or Amazon or anything, and just out for the picking. I love both your channels. Caleb's ideas have single-handedly helped me make thousands. Everyone here needs to sub to his channel. That's completely true. I put a link to your channel in the chat. I haven't put one in the description of the video yet, but I'm dropping it in the chat one more time. You guys be sure to head over to Caleb's channel and subscribe. That's something else I want to talk about. So like a month ago, you were at like 6,000 or 7,000 subscribers, right?
Yeah. A couple
So
months ago.
let's talk about what video you made, how you had the idea for the video, and how much it's taken off.
Yeah. I'm glad you asked that. I don't know if this is something I've really had the opportunity to unpack on YouTube yet. But that video, yeah, you correctly identified the first time you messaged me about it, that it was a big risk.
Yeah.
Right. So the video in question is the one that he mentioned earlier, where I took a PlayStation 5 console and an Xbox Series X that I had been able to get. One of them I waited in line for at GameStop for like 6 hours, and the other one I was able to get online. And back in and I gave them away to strangers. I made like a Facebook Marketplace post for a PlayStation 1 and said, hey, this is free to a good home, and then surprised them, and it was a whole thing. So I had the idea for that video in September, when like very soon after I made the pre-order. I didn't actually film it until mid-November, but like I think maybe it was when I was waiting in line, I was just thinking, man, I had learned recently about this YouTube growth tactic called trend jacking, which you're very familiar with, which is basically you take something that people are already searching for in high volumes and you create content around that.
Yeah.
Resellers you can do it in any niche. Resellers have a little bit more of a limited opportunity, but like, for example, maybe like if eBay changes their policies and a bunch of people are searching, like, how did I do this on eBay now? Like when they went to managed payments, right?
Yeah.
That was a great opportunity for trend jacking. So I was thinking about that specifically in the video game niche, and I was like, PS5 and Xbox Series X searches are going to be absolutely massive for the next who knows how long. And this could be a good opportunity to make a video that would appeal to a broader audience than most of my videos normally do.
Yeah.
And I made a few pretty key decisions with it that were designed to optimize it for maximum like viral potential. So one of them was keeping it super short. I could have very easily, it was 7 minutes and 30 seconds. And for other people who are on YouTube, if your video is longer than 8 minutes, you can put more ads in it.
Yeah.
So I knew going in that I could easily double my ad money on that video if I just like squeezed another 30 seconds out of it. And I could have squeezed another like few minutes out of it if I wanted to.
Yeah.
I didn't want to lose that like viewer retention. I wanted every second of that video to just draw you further in.
Yeah.
Right? That's a big element of whether or not YouTube's going to push your videos. So I edited everything out of that video that I possibly could. Tried to make every second somehow visually or audibly engaging. And then I put a ton of work into the thumbnail too. I went on YouTube, searched similar videos, the ones that had gotten the highest views, and tried to take some of the elements of those and use them in mine. And anyway, I'm kind of rambling now, but
no, I love it, dude. I love talking about this stuff because this is the stuff that nobody talks about. Like people wonder how you go viral on YouTube or how do you grow on YouTube. I'm like, all the information is out there. You just have to like learn about it. Like if you want to make a viral video about giving away a game console, you search that topic, see what their thumbnails look like, see what their titles look like, see what views. Like, if both of these guys gave away the same thing, why did this video get 14 million views and this one get 200,000? Like, what's the difference? They're both basically doing the same thing. Is it their personality? Is it thumbnail? Is it the editing? Like with your video, like I was going through the whole YouTube viral checklist and it just hit everything. I'm like, okay, the title's really good. The thumbnail's really good. It's super short. It's engaging. All your videos are really engaging. I think that's where a lot of people kind of fall short too, is they just put a lot of fluff into their videos, trying to make them as long as possible. Says the guy who makes like 40-minute vlogs. But, after you build an audience, you can make longer videos.
Right.
But I just thought that was so well done. And you've seen like, no offense, Mike, but Reezy Resells made a video giving away a PS5. And I think that got like, last I checked, it was like 22,000 views. So I'm like, that's not a very good investment for that. Like I said, it was a risk. I mean, you're risking you know, the Xbox. I'm assuming you paid like retail price for both. So the PS5 is what, like $600, and then the X. So you're risking say $1,200, $1,100 to $1,200 on video that could flop. And based off the views, I haven't checked it lately, but even at only one, you know, pre-roll and maybe an end ad, I'm sure you've made your money back by now with the amount of views.
Just about, yeah. I don't know if I had ending ads on. Maybe I should have, or maybe I did. I can't remember. It ended up making back just about my investment. Could have done a lot better, like I said, if I had stretched it out a little bit. But in terms of subscriber growth, it, you know, the difference was massive.
You can't put a price on gaining 20 to 25,000 subs in 2 weeks.
Absolutely. Now, I should say that my channel right now, subscribers, I've said this once before, I personally think that subscribers is a YouTube vanity metric.
Yeah.
I don't think it really matters. What really matters, if you want to look at the health of a channel, is average views per video, right? Because that tells you like how many people are actually engaged, how many people are interested in you, like how well are your videos doing. And I think that my average views per video are more in step with a channel of like maybe 20,000 subscribers. So I think a lot of the people that I did gain from that video aren't necessarily like really tracking with me.
Yeah.
So it does help to, like, you know, when you look in your YouTube mirror, make you feel good. But I do think like there are channels that are smaller than mine that are putting up better average views per video because like they have a higher percentage of the folks that are engaged. So I would just encourage folks who are on YouTube to look at that metric rather than just focusing on subscribers.
Yeah, it's all like subscribers. Subscribers don't mean anything. You could have 10 million subscribers, but you don't get paid based on subscribers. And if the people that subscribe to your channel aren't watching your videos, and they're not really subscribers anyway. That's something I learned pretty recently too. Like I don't know, like I'm getting close to 100. So obviously that's, you know, a cool number to get to, and I'm excited about it. But I realize in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't mean anything. If you stop putting out quality content when you reach some milestone, your subscribers are going to fall off.
Yeah.
So you gotta, once you hit that, you gotta keep going. So with that video, I mean, with the subscribers that you got from the video, I think it's a pretty good percentage. Like, I think people that saw your video liked your personality too. Like I read some of the comments. Everybody's like, I like this guy, you know, something about him. So I think even if they're not fully interested in video game reselling, there's still part of those people out there watching your videos just for you and your personality. And then they kind of get more into reselling as they watch. I see the same thing on my channel. People start watching my videos just because they like my personality. And then a month later, they're starting their eBay account, you know, which can be good or bad, depending on how you look at it, more competition. But I saw that video and I was like, I posted on Instagram immediately. I was like, this is how you do it. Like, it's not a way to, you can't do stuff like this all the time, you know, build, unless you're Mr. Beast, I guess.
Yep.
But it's a great way to get a good boost and just start the year off on the right foot. Like, I'm sure it gave you a huge boost of motivation to keep making more videos. Because the type of videos you make too are not easy to create. I mean, you're constantly putting background music in your videos and doing pretty advanced editing and keeping your videos really engaging. Like you said, both audibly and visually. And I really appreciate that. Reselling, the reselling category of videos on YouTube doesn't really demand a high production quality. So you can come in there with some pretty decent editing, above average for a reseller, and, you know, a good camera and a good on-camera presence. You can grow really quickly. And I think that's what's happened with you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I'll say, well, this is the last thing I'll say because I don't want to bore too badly the people who aren't on YouTube, but I would encourage other reseller YouTubers, rather than like just looking to some of the pioneers of reselling on YouTube for your inspiration, also look to like some of the YouTube titans, right, to really get your inspiration. That's what I do a lot. Some of my biggest influences are like Casey Neistat, right? The way that he puts together videos and takes care in his framing and his shots and like creates a context and tells a story, right? Those are what make really great YouTube videos. So if you basically like take them, like the ultimate creators, as your gold standard and try to mimic those, I think overall you'll have better success than if you just look in the reselling pond, even though there are some like fantastic reseller creators. I just think like, you know, the higher you shoot, the more likely you'll be to have success and also to stand out in your own way. Cause it's not good to like within a similar niche, just like take something someone else is doing and try to do that for yourself. I really encourage people to try to find their own competitive advantage, something that they bring to the table that other people don't necessarily. So that's my 2 cents on that.
Casey Neistat was a huge inspiration for me too. I remember the first video I ever posted, my vlog with my friends who went to like an antique store, and at that time I was still watching. I don't think Casey was posting every day. I think he had stopped by then, but I was still catching up with his daily vlog. So I was super inspired by him, and I spent a ton of time editing that first video, and now I'm kind of simplified things a little bit, but I still like the editing process is my favorite part of the job. Like everything, reselling and YouTube, like editing is by far my favorite. It's probably the only thing I'll never hire out. I've talked to a few other YouTube, big dogs, and they're all like, dude, you gotta hire out your editing. Like your money is made in front of the camera, not behind it. I'm like, I just like it. I like editing.
It's hard to like, especially I think my biggest competitive advantage is, or one of them is the humor that I try to put into my videos. And that's both like in the form of on-camera jokes and also just like little gags, like when you're editing, like throwing in some like funny stock image or like a weird sound effect or something like that, right? It like you don't necessarily notice if you're not looking for it, but overall it just enhances the experience a lot. Like that's something that Mr. Beast does constantly, right? Like there's always some random object like blowing up or like some like sound effect or like some dude's face gets like way too zoomed in, right? And it makes it so that you just can't look away from the video. There's always something happening, right? So that's something that I kind of try to emulate, and something that's really hard to hire, right? Like it's hard to teach humor.
Yeah, especially your own style. Like I remember Casey Neistat was talking about how, when he was daily vlogging, at the time, I'm sure he had plenty of money. Like it wasn't about the money for me, but he was still editing his own videos. And he said in the videos, like, it's really hard for an editor, even if they're a professional editor, it's really hard for them to edit the video exactly the same as you see it in your head. Like, even if it's just cuts, like a lot of my daily vlogs it's just cuts. But I've done like live streams where I edit a video and they'll have like one clip that's literally like 0.2 seconds too long. I'm like, no, I don't like that's too long. So I'll go and like zoom in on the timeline and cut it off. And it's just like your own personal touch, It's like a chef. We're chefs. And our video clips are the ingredients, and then we edit it together and make our dish. And while we can, watch other people and enjoy other people's foods, when we're making things for ourselves, it's just your personal touch that you put on it that really makes it true to you. So that, again, that's probably not something I'm ever going to hire out, no matter how big I get on YouTube. Probably always going to do my own editing.
Couldn't agree more.
But I love what you said earlier about keeping things short. I think that's another one of the overlooked like factors on YouTube, especially in reselling. So like I said, sometimes I make longer videos, but I think long videos are okay as long as they're engaging. I've seen some people make like bins haul videos. Like I've been going to Goodwill bins the last couple of weeks, but it's not like 20 minutes of digging to find two things. Like today, my video today, I didn't even show any digging. I just went in and showed immediately what I found and then got out. So the whole bin strip was in 40 seconds of footage. So I think people will, like, my watch time, even with 40-minute videos, is still like 60-65%.
That's really good.
Which is really good for a 40-minute video.
Yeah.
And I think it's because I try really hard to give people what they want. Like nobody wants to see you dig around the bins for 25 minutes and only find one thing or not find anything.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of resellers that are just kind of, I don't know, just diddly daddling along and not really getting anything done in the video, which is why people don't respond like they want them to. But your videos, I left a comment on one the other day. I was like, man, I don't watch a lot of resellers just because once you start making your own reselling videos, it's kind of hard to keep up with everybody else. And even when I do watch other people's videos, I rarely watch the entire thing. But that last video you posted about like I don't know if this was the last one, but the one where you're doing your video game haul from GameStop, I watched the entire thing, like normal speed, didn't even speed it up or anything. And I was like, man, this is just a good video. Like it kept my attention. You were just like talking and answering questions and breaking down boxes, which I love because even just the simple act of you breaking down cardboard boxes while you answer questions makes the video more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I can't explain it. It just does, you know? So I'm just really impressed with your channel, man. Everything I notice all the little subtle things that you do, and I really appreciate it.
Well, that means a lot coming from you, man. You're definitely where I would love to be in a couple years or so. So
You'll get there sooner than that, man. 11 months and already at, subscribers aren't that important, but for 11 months, you're well on your way for sure. So I want to talk about your sourcing methods because, like in the video I just saw, you got like $11,000 worth of video games from GameStop.
Yeah.
I think a lot of resellers just focus on thrift stores and to get video games or like Facebook Marketplace deals. Pawn shops are generally, I think pawn shops are pretty overpriced to flip on eBay. And you realize that, and that's when you switch to Amazon. So talk a little bit about your sourcing methods, pawn shops and GameStop.
Yeah. So where to start? So video games is like the glamour niche, I think, right? Like every reseller loves to flip video games because they sell quick, normally for good money. If you can get them cheap, like it's normally a fantastic deal. But the flip side that always comes with that is high competition, right?
Yeah.
So a big motive behind why I source where I source is trying to get outside of this paradox of like, okay, this is a super profitable, like really fun niche that everyone wants to be in. How can I somehow set myself apart, right? And do things that other people won't. So where that comes out in a couple ways, one is what I kind of hinted at earlier of like this journey that I've gone on of being willing to front more money, right? In order to do more volume. That's a big reason why I went to online arbitrage. Like the number of people who are willing to spend 15 to make 10 is so much smaller than the number of people who are out at a yard sale to spend $20 and make 200 on an N64 bundle, right? That I sensed a lot more opportunity there. And especially when you're buying from huge retailers like Walmart or GameStop or Target, right? There's a ton of supply. So if you can find the right product, whether it's used or new or whatever, that has a high demand and you can buy a lot of units, you don't have to have that 100% ROI or more that a lot of people oftentimes look for. So yeah, one of the main ways that I source to answer the question is I'll wait for GameStop.com to have like big clearance sales. Not really clearance sales, but like, one that they're having right now is buy 5, get your whole order 50% off, buy 5 or more pre-owned games, $30 or under. So I'll go through their whole website of all the games that are under that category, scan every freaking one, well, every recent gen one into my Amazon app, look at what I have to pay, look at what I'm going to make on Amazon. That's one really nice feature of the Amazon seller app. For those of you who aren't on it, you've showed it in your videos multiple times. But it'll give you an estimation after FBA fees of what you can make on it. And you just subtract that mentally, subtract out what you're going to have to pay. And that gives you what you're going to make, an estimation at least. So that's what I look at for every single game on the website. And then the more comfortable I've grown with that method and the more capital I've had at my disposal. I started out my first sale, maybe I spent like $300 or so. Because I had been in video games for a while. I was comfortable enough that, I could spend a little bit of money up front. Up until this, this last month, I spent 11,000 on, just reloading my cart over and over and over again on games that I know are going to sell quick. The nice thing about video games is that like the risk that you run with that method is that a lot of sellers will jump on the same game at the same time and the price will tank. But usually, given that I'm shooting for 100% ROI, even if the price tanks, maybe on every game I'll only make $3 rather than 10. So when you're still making money, even on your bad buys, you're in a good place. So that's part of the reason that I really like the online arbitrage side. Should I talk more about that or talk about like pawn shops and video game stores?
No, I think I think a lot of resellers only focus on eBay. And when you talk about buying stuff from GameStop.com to resell, I think people don't think there's margin there. And what you just explained is how you find your margins. You wait for the sales to go 50% off. You spend hours and hours or days researching, loading your cart up. Because in your video, you said you can only put 3 of the same title in your cart at one time.
Yeah.
I saw you get like, 40 or 50 of the same title. So I can't imagine how long you spent, finding the titles and then just like making individual purchases over and over again.
It's a process.
That's what you have to do.
Yep. Yeah, that's the kind of sacrifice that you have to be willing to make if you want to play in a super competitive field, right?
Yeah.
You got to be willing to do things that other people just aren't willing to do. And you've got to have the money.
I don't think people are willing. First of all, I don't think people have the capital to spend $11,000 on video games. I think that's a huge, I'm not saying it's a problem. I mean, you can run a successful reselling business starting with $50, if you want to go to the bins or thrift stores. But to do this kind of stuff, what you're doing, like the numbers that you're doing, require a lot of capital. Somebody in the chat earlier asked about like what your actual net was on the 458. I think you eventually said it was about 25% this year after all expenses. So that's still that's still very, very good.
Yeah, it was excellent. I probably closer to 20. This is a little bit of a spoiler alert for my video on Saturday because I talk about it. But yeah, this year it ended up being in right around the 100,000 range. In that video, I actually undersold it a little bit because I accidentally took away my salary when I shouldn't have. Like I double counted it. But yeah, right around that 6-figure mark, which I'm super proud of. And the other reason that I gravitate so much to that method is a problem that I ask myself all the time as a full-time reseller that is also a one-man operation is how can I best scale myself, right? Because I work out of my home. I don't really have the space or the opportunity to easily hire like another part-time worker. I don't really want someone coming into our space and like doing stuff here.
Have you thought about hiring a virtual assistant?
Sorry, what's that?
Have you thought about hiring a virtual assistant? Like, say with a GameStop sale, you just come up with the titles that you want.
Yeah.
And just pay somebody in the Philippines or whatever to just buy as many of those copies as they can.
Yeah, it'd be possible. The thing that gives me pause is sometimes there are some somewhat difficult logistics in terms of like how to stack the discounts and like just ensuring that you're always buying used rather than new and things like that. So in my mind, there's a lot that can go wrong, but you're right. It would, that would definitely be a potential avenue. But the reason I brought that up is just the fact that like online arbitrage, this method in particular, and like selling multiple of the same title rather than only looking for one-offs. Yeah. It's just a really good way as like a one-man show, a one-woman show to be able to like get more out of the time that you're putting in if you do have that capital. So that's a big part of the reason I'm drawn so much to that approach. Yeah.
Like I said, that's what you want to do, like getting into the bigger numbers. And 6-figure income, aren't you in Kentucky? Is that where you live?
Yep.
So 6 figures in Kentucky, you're living high on the hog. 6 figures in Kentucky. That's about, I imagine the economy there is probably like South Carolina.
It's low cost of living for sure. To that, I would say yes and no, because like my net was in that range, but I take such a small salary from the business that's not actually money that we're using, right? That's not what I'm paying myself. That's overall what the business made. So like, and that's a great point that I'd love to talk about too, is that like, I'm such a big believer in the importance of, especially when you're starting out, just having a super lean startup mentality. Yeah. Right. Like slashing every possible expense, like living well below your means to keep as much money in the business as possible. Because like what I want to do is, and I'm just about at that point now because we've been living so frugally up to this point, is be able to have the cash in the bank when that video game store closes down, right? Or somebody's massive collection goes on sale that they want to sell all at once for $20,000. I want to be able to say, this is a fantastic deal. Here's the cash, right? Yeah. And not worry about like leveraging debt or trying to sell inventory really fast or whatever. I
That's
don't
huge
really
too, 'cause
anticipate.
if you have to say you got a $20,000 buy opportunity, but then
Yeah.
you have to take out a loan at even like 8% interest, personal loan,
Mhm.
that's a pretty good interest rate for a personal loan. That severely cuts into your profit margins.
It does.
And a deal like that is probably going to have a lot of buyers too. So it's not going to go cheap. So yeah, having cash on hand that you can, get from yourself 0% interest is huge for sure. Like I said, especially starting up, you've got to keep money in the business. I don't know. I get messages from people wanting to be full-time resellers, and this guy messaged me the other day and said he needs $5,000 a month to live off of, and he has like 40 things listed and wants to know like what he has to do to hit that number. I'm like,
Yeah,
that's tough, man. That's really tough. Just reselling from thrift stores and garage sales.
it is tough. And at least this year, what it's meant for me is working a lot.
Yeah,
Right now, we don't have kids. My wife and I, she's in law school. A lot of the time, she'll be like doing homework and stuff like that. Um, so I work a lot of hours, especially this year. I think in the future I'll probably scale that back a little bit, but like trying to get this full-time hustle like really off the ground. This is my first full year as a full-time reseller. Um, and I just like for that person who is asking that question, hey, what do I need to do to get myself to this like full-time status that I think is kind of coveted for a lot of people, but in some ways a little overhyped. Like I'm very bullish on the part-time hustle,
Mhm.
certainly until like you build up the income to actually justify it. But like even besides that, like the biggest question that I would ask someone asking me that question is like, I guess to think about it analogically, I think about like how there are so many kids out there who see like LeBron James on the court and they think that that looks like super fun. You're playing a game for a living. You're this superstar. You have all this fame and fortune, but what you don't see is waking up at 5 a.m. every day and doing 2-a-day workouts and having a strict diet routine and spending hours in the back room watching tape of previous games, right? Like it's really easy to glamorize full-time resale. Uh,
Yeah,
I would just ask someone who's asking me that question, are you willing to put in the 4 a.m. reps when the rubber hits the road, right? Like,
yeah.
uh, I would say you'll never be great at something you don't love to practice.
Yeah, I've said in past videos that I've had a lot of jobs in my life, like probably 25 to 30 different jobs, most of them minimum wage.
Yeah.
And this is the hardest that I've ever worked. It's the most fun, and it doesn't suck. I enjoy it. I've
Yeah.
had jobs that I work a lot less, but have straight sucked. But right now, I've never worked harder or more hours than I am right now. Um,
Agreed.
but yeah, Joey Bada Bing in the chat says, I love practicing things I love. It's definitely fun. Obviously I've had success with YouTube, and that's been a huge player in my income this year.
Mm-hmm.
And if I, obviously my eBay numbers would be better if I didn't spend so much time with YouTube. Somebody commented the other day, was like, dude, you need to sell better stuff. Like, you're not making any money. I'm like, I'm making money. It's just with YouTube, it's like
Yeah.
in conjunction. But I mean, like that guy, like having to net 5K a month after fees, expenses, taxes, just to live, just to meet your basic necessities. That's tough as a full-time reseller. I know a lot of resellers, and I know very few that are comfortably pulling in that amount a month on average every single month, after everything, taxes and all that. But I don't know. That was one of my biggest fears with YouTube, is like creating engaging and entertaining content, and like, because you want to motivate people and inspire people, but the last thing I want to do is, get somebody to quit their job and then they realize that it's not all it's cut out to be. It's not as easy as Harry Tornado makes it look on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It's a tough situation. So what were you doing before reselling? I don't know if we talked about that.
Yeah, no, I kind of skipped that in my story. A lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
Immediately before, I was working at a collectible coin wholesaling company with a couple of my friends from school, actually. And it's kind of I don't know, I laugh about it now, but it was really hard at the time. I got fired from that job twice. At my friend's company, which is not something that you want to have happen.
Yeah.
So I got hired on there. From before that, I was working at a nonprofit as a home ownership counselor. Just thought it'd be a fun opportunity to gain a little bit more flexibility in my schedule and a little bit more freedom. That's something that, like, I think I was subconsciously searching for, well, even consciously searching for in like my employment search from early on. But the more jobs I had, and I had a lot of jobs out of school too, the more I realized that like the level of like trust and responsibility and leash that I really wanted in a position doesn't normally come until you've worked at a company for like 15 years.
Yeah.
You know, it was arrogant in a way of me to expect something like that from, at least relatively early on in a job. It's hard to find.
Yeah.
So anyway, I thought that this job was a step in that direction. And to be fair, like there were a lot of things that were really fun about that job. Like sometimes we would, open packs of Pokemon cards in the middle of the day, or, we would go out to like random lunches, as a company for no reason. But ultimately, like there were some interpersonal dynamics that led to a pretty toxic work environment that basically boiled down to like expectations and like me not meeting them and thinking that those expectations were the problem, and then my boss thinking that my performance was the problem, and some connections getting missed there. And so yeah, ultimately they fired me the first time, gave me a super generous severance. I was looking for a job, trying to get hired at UK. This whole time I was doing resale as a side hustle, but wasn't ready to take it full time. Couldn't find anything there. Ended up going to work at a coffee shop just to subsidize my income some. They came back to me and were like, hey man, like you're working at a coffee shop. We can at least like give you some grunt work and hopefully put you on a different track. I was like, okay. So I did the grunt work. They put me on a different track, ended up having the exact same issues in that. Turns out I was the problem, not, the actual role, or the situation was the problem, whatever you want to say. Got fired again. And that was a rough season, man. That was a rough time in just my psyche, my emotions, like questioning. I think especially like part of my identity, my role, like in my marriage, since Erica's in school, like just as a provider, like this is my job, right? We have an understanding that for the next 3 years, like this is her job. My job is to actually make money. And I've been unable to even hold down a job.
Yeah.
For like this 2-year stretch. Like it was a rough go of it for a while, but that second time I had a little bit less than the track record I really wanted to go full time. I wanted to have like around 6 months or so of like, okay, I could have actually paid myself the salary that we need and kept a little bit in the business. I had about 3 or 4 at that point and was like, okay, I'm going to get my substitute teaching license as a fallback. And then if there's a gap at the end of the month, I'll spend a few days doing that. And, that's how we'll stay afloat. And I only ended up subbing twice, and I didn't really need to. So, it's been all uphill or downhill or whichever hill is better from there.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. I love, I don't know. I just love stories about like coming from like hard times and finding success. It's,
and that actually a lot of people don't realize is the origin of the name Phoenix Resale.
Rising from the ashes.
From Arizona at all, not related to the city Phoenix, but it was an aspirational name that I gave my business after the second time I got fired. I was hoping that like, God would resurrect something from the ashes of my career. I don't know. And maybe it was kind of an angsty name, but
I like it.
Yeah, it was my dream that is what the business would come to represent in my life. And so far it has. So
yeah. And Kentucky Picker was probably already taken.
No,
I feel
that
like
is one
every
thing that
major city in the United
one
States.
route that I didn't want to go.
Anytime every major city in the United States has a picker or a flipper that lives there and is on YouTube. No offense.
For that reason, that's the biggest reason that it kind of gets to me when people assume that I'm from Phoenix, because more than anything, it just says, okay, you like couldn't give yourself a creative name.
Yeah.
That's not actually true. There are, plenty of fantastic channels that have great names that are that. I don't want to, I feel like there's probably like a Chicago picker in the chat that's like, wow, screw you.
Screw you, Caleb.
Sorry, Chicago picker, I didn't mean it. You're the most creative person in the world.
No, it's fine. It's appropriate. I mean, if you have a YouTube or Instagram name, picker or flipper, people automatically know what your content's about.
Right.
Certainly more so than Harry Tornado. But I do like to spice things up a bit with my names. I had a super chat earlier that I forgot to mention. It was from $5 Australian from Back from Burnout. I love how real you always keep it. Thanks for the great content. Thank you so much, Back from Burnout. I appreciate the Aussie $5, mate. And then we got another super chat from Allison, Big Drift $4.99. You got to pick a lane. The money will follow. Either you make the right decision for you, or make the right decision for you. For you, make the decision right, or you make the decision right. I butchered that, but Allison, you are correct. I appreciate you joining in the super chat. A couple of people earlier when I said I was worried about people quitting their jobs, Joey Bada Bing's in the chat, and they're like, "Oh, Joey's talking to you." I'm not talking to Joey. I think the problem with being a full-time reseller is also having a large requirement of money. Like for me, like when I got laid off from my job last August, we had a very low overhead. Like all of our bills for the whole month is probably less than $3,000, like combined, all food and everything. Like we could make it on $3,000 a month. So it wasn't, and we had savings saved up. So it wasn't a huge burden for me to try out full-time reselling for just September, October, November, December, and reevaluate in January. So I think having a low overhead is key, because when you first start out, you're going to have to spend money on shelves and bins and a storage system and a label printer and all this other stuff. It's a pretty inexpensive business to start, in my opinion. Even if you go buy a hot dog cart, I mean, those are like $5,000. Hot dog cart seems like a small business, but reselling is even cheaper. And a lot of it you can scale as you grow. You can buy more bins as they're needed. But I don't know. I think if I never really required money from reselling. I was never stressed. I was never like, oh, if I don't make $3,000 this month, we're going to lose our house or something, and I think going into it with that kind of cushion of a savings account, a cushion of a low cost of goods, really helps you make better decisions. Your mind is clear, and you don't have the stress of the bills piling up on the counter looming over you. So I've talked to Joey. I don't know his whole financial situation, but hopefully he sold some more shirts today. Shout out Joey Bada Bing. Let's go, baby. Merch link in the description after the video.
There you go.
But I love his passion, man. I know he's going to be successful on YouTube. I know once he has more free time, he's going to be able to put more time into eBay. It's not an incredibly complicated process of reselling. It's just, being willing to put in the work. If you want to play professional basketball, obviously jeans have a little bit to play with that. But if you're willing to get out there and practice, wake up every morning, work out, like you were saying, it makes it at least significantly more likely that you could reach your goals. So I don't know, man. I love it. I love reselling. How do you feel about reselling now that you've done it for, I guess, YouTube is 11 months. How long have you been reselling?
2.5 years.
2.5 years. Okay. So you
at least part-time.
Yeah. So you've got a good taste for it. So what's your pros and cons list of reselling full-time?
Ooh, good question. Cons. You need to have a high level of self-motivation, right? If you're someone who's prone to procrastination, right, or just like general laziness, you'd be better suited for a role that has more external accountability.
Yeah.
So that's a con for some people for resale. I think part of the reason I enjoy it so much is because I am a pretty internally motivated person. No, camera, get back on me.
There it goes.
I would say one con of the community, and this is something that I talked about in a recent video, is just the tendency to like comparison. That's more of an internal thing. That's something that I have struggled with, is just like seeing other people's success. And even in the seasons where I feel like I'm really crushing it, you know, going on Instagram or going on YouTube and seeing someone else's haul that they're going to get to like process and all the money they're going to make on it, and just being like, oh man, I wish I got that. When in reality, I've got a stack of video games back here that like a ton of people are probably saying the exact same thing, but like for some reason, like I'm feeling down about myself because I saw someone else's success. So anyway, that's a downside.
Yeah.
I don't know. What am I missing in the cons section?
I mean,
customer service.
I would just agree with you. Like, comparison is a thief of joy. I remember when I first started my channel, I'd finally hit 100 subscribers, and I was like just thrilled out of my mind. And this other girl she was like one of the first people that I like met on YouTube. Like, she watched my videos, I watched her videos. Like, we were kind of like YouTube friends. And she got some big boost. And she got like 300 subscribers. And I was like, how did you get like, we just hit 100 together, like in the same couple days. And now you have 300. Like, that's huge, because that was tripling your channel size. And it happened like overnight. And I was kind of jealous. I was like,
Chicago Picker probably gave her a shout out.
Probably that dumb Chicago Picker.
Yeah. The other thing that just came to mind is customer service. I don't like that part of reselling, especially on Amazon. Like, returns on Amazon are worse.
Yeah,
like, bad, for sure. FBA, like, people, and especially if you're in electronics, people don't know how to work them. I get like perfectly good consoles returned to me all the time, and it's just like, why? So, and then every once in a while you'll have like a scammer, or like one time I had someone send me this like broken third-party N64 controller back when they had bought a Nintendo 64 console. It's like, I don't remember sending this in.
Yeah.
And I think I think there are probably a lot of people out there who like that happens to them for the first time and they're like, I'm out, like, see ya.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that you have to watch out for. I'll talk to people sometimes, like if I'm just, you know, shooting the breeze with people at yard sales or, you know, at like a flea market or something, that say like, oh yeah, I tried eBay, had someone try to scam me, or like I got some money tied up in PayPal and I never dealt with it since. So I think there definitely is a side of that is a big negative for some folks.
Rally Roots in the chat. Caleb, you should feel honored, because I think this is the first live that Rally Roots have ever been in on my channel.
Oh, wow. I feel even more honored.
Yeah, they came just for you. The OGs. What's up, guys? Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate that. You didn't miss it. Almost. We've got like 10 minutes left.
That's another channel that high production value in their videos. I really respect that.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Rally, they were the first reselling channel I found. They were the channel that got me into it. I was like, if they can find Tommy Bahama shirts for $4 and sell them for $24, I can do that too.
Yep.
And so I go out and buy every Tommy Bahama I could find. And then I realized that I was watching their videos from like 9 months prior, and Tommy Bahama wasn't good anymore. So that was the first lesson I learned in reselling. But Ryan and Allie have been wonderful. I feel like I'm a pretty likable guy, but I don't really get along with a lot of people, like bigger resellers in the community. I don't know why. I don't think I've ever done anything to anybody. I just think
You think they dislike you?
I've been literally blocked on Instagram by at least one major reseller.
What?
I've literally never said a word to him. I don't get it. But Ryan and Allie,
that's not like a glitch or something.
No,
I find that so hard to believe.
We can talk about it after the live if you want. But
okay.
I don't know. I think I'm just like the young guy, you know. And
you're the threat.
I'm the threat. Yeah, there we go. I don't like thinking of myself as that, but
coming after the establishment.
Maybe. But Ryan and Allie have always been just awesome to me. Like, always willing to answer questions and help me out. And they get a lot of hate, I think, just because they're so successful. but they're truly awesome people for sure. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything. Roy HP said one of the cons of reselling, full-time reselling, is isolation. It can definitely be lonely, and most people don't get reselling either. I'm not sure what the last part means, but it is lonely.
Yeah.
You have struggles with that? I'm assuming your wife is gone most of the time at school and stuff.
I think what he maybe means by that is like it's the kind of thing that's sometimes hard to explain, like if you're at a dinner party or something like that, you know? It's like you feel like you have to dominate the conversation for 20 minutes to get people to understand what the heck you do.
Yeah.
You know, like they don't get it.
People are embarrassed by it. They're like, yeah, like I told my neighbor that after I got laid off, that I was selling stuff on eBay, and she was like concerned. She came out one day and she's like, I've been praying for you to find a better job. I know you're still selling stuff on eBay, but you probably want something a little better than that.
Yeah. Oh, I was unemployed once too.
Yeah. Selling on eBay. So do you have any plans for the future? People don't get it, man. It's I think people are for me personally, I think people are realizing that it can be a real job, if you are willing to put in the work. But again, like I said earlier, it's the most work I've ever had to do at any job ever in my entire life. Speaking of jobs, what's the worst job you've ever had?
Worst job, I would say definitely I was a debt collector for Aramark.
Oh,
you ever
man.
heard of Aramark?
I haven't, but I've heard of debt collectors.
They're this like 100,000 employee company, just this monolith that does like business services. Like they'll go into a business and like, clean their rugs and like random stuff like that. I was a debt collector for like the people who hadn't paid their bill normally because Aramark had screwed up in some way, but like it wasn't my fault, but I had to call them and be like, hey, like pay. And also what did we do wrong? And like, yeah, it was bad. I was there for a total of 6 weeks and training was 4.
Wow.
So that was one of those jobs that like between reselling and college that like was just a short one. It was like have you ever seen the movie Office Space?
I haven't actually. I've seen the memes and like seen clips, but I haven't seen the whole thing.
If you know the memes, that's all you need to know, because the only thing I'm referencing is it looked like that, just gray cubicles as far as the eye could see.
Yeah.
You go to work, you put your headset on, and you just like dial and dial and dial people that do not want to talk to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was bad. And the company culture was the worst. Like they just did not like their employees. I don't know. That was the worst. Oh, I don't want to forget the pros though.
What were the pros?
Pros of reselling.
Oh yeah. I forgot about
that. The freedom. Like that's, I think, what everyone is ultimately in it for. Like to me, it's not the salary. It's not like getting to mess with video games all day, although those are both great. At least now the salary is good. But just like being able to do what you want. And paradoxically, this year that has meant working 60 or 70 hours a week. But the thing is, like, I was asking myself the other day, like, if I suddenly had like $5 million in the bank account and I could just live on, interest and returns for the rest of my life, what would I do? And I don't know I'd do all that much different, is the crazy thing. I wouldn't work as much as I do, but like I'd probably still like make vlogs and flip stuff because I just like it.
Yeah.
I think I'd spend more time. One like kind of side passion of mine is like financial health, like personal finance. I think I'd spend a little bit more time like giving free coaching to people on like how to set yourself up to be financially successful.
Yeah.
Besides that, I feel like most of what I do would probably be pretty similar. Maybe I'd play a little bit more Zelda.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. Like the freedom's awesome. And I don't like right now, I'm just so blessed. I don't have kids like you were. What do they call us? Dink, dual income, no kids. It's an awesome life. People are always asking us when we're going to have kids. I'm like, when I get tired of all this free time and disposable income, it's really nice. And pretty much, I mean, I do work, but just the freedom to do whatever you want just makes it really not seem like work. Like I don't have to be at work. Like I just got so stressful always having to be at a place at a certain time. And if you had to clock in on the computer, and if you're a couple minutes late, you had to write an email to your boss explaining what was going on. If I was doing my lunch break thrift trips, if I found something good at Salvation Army and there was a huge line, I was all stressed. I was like, I got to get back to work on time. And now I just do literally whatever I want. It's not about the money, like I love going to the bins and spending $6 to make 40, it's not about the profit. It's about the hunt, like the thrill of finding something for cheap that you could sell for more. It's the same with Gary Vee. Like Gary Vee is probably a millionaire. I feel like he probably reinvests a lot of his money back into the business, but he's probably a millionaire. He still gets like the pump from, going to garage sales and buying Hello Kitty stuff for $2 to sell for 15, even flips that like most resellers would be like, oh, that's not worth my time. Like he's like thrilled out of his mind.
Mug life.
And that's just who he is, man. He has that entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah, man. I think that's definitely a uniting factor between a lot of resellers is just that thrill of the hunt, like getting to wake up and do that every day or most days, and have it be something that also pays the bills is really cool. Whether it's full-time or part-time or as a hobby, like it's just not something to take for granted,
Yeah, 100%. It's I don't think full-time reselling is, I don't know, it's hard. I don't think it's for everybody, but I think anybody could do it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Let me ask you, do you think that most resellers or all resellers should be on YouTube? Because I've heard some of your like clips in the past in your videos, like you're pretty bullish on YouTube. What are your thoughts on that?
I think YouTube is good, even if just for the sole purpose of documentation. Like, even if you just make a channel just to film one video per month, just like talking about your month, talking about your business, where you are, how you're feeling, kind of like a journal, I guess.
Scrapbook.
A scrapbook, because it's always cool to go back and watch those videos. I mean, YouTube's going to be around forever. Your grandkids can go and watch those videos one day. How cool would it be to see a video of your granddad talking about running his moonshine business or whatever he did in Kentucky back in the
little Kentucky slide there.
Like it would be so cool to see that. So I think people should do it just for the documentation of it. And if it takes off, it could take off. It's there's no reason not to try it. I've seen some YouTube channels. People have asked me to watch their videos, and they're just bad. Like YouTube's pretty like, I don't say it's hard, but you've got to be the right person to be successful on YouTube or have the right content. There's some people that are really boring and not good at being on camera, but like that, who's that guy? Corpse, the guy that plays like Among Us. He's literally just blown up just because of his voice. That's it. He's just got a good voice.
Yep.
Like you've got to find that one factor about you that people like, and then just provide it to them. So I think everybody should at least start a YouTube channel. I mean, you look at some really successful YouTubers like Graham Stephan. Somebody told him like 5 years ago to start YouTube, and he's like, no, I'm not going to be good at that. And now he's making $300,000 a month from YouTube.
That's
so
a good
you never
point.
know.
My gut reaction would be a little bit less, a little more hesitant, I guess. But I suppose if the end goal is not necessarily to like build a following and like grow subscribers, like like there's not really a downside. I mean, maybe you lose some time and don't end up like continuing it, but you don't lose much.
Yeah.
So I think I'd probably agree with that. I do think that like something that some people don't often factor in is like the talent part of the equation.
Yeah.
Like in the same way that I wouldn't recommend to everyone to like try to be a basketball player, I wouldn't recommend to everyone to try to be a YouTuber. But then again, maybe there are Graham Stephans out there that like other people aren't recommending either that really have a lot of potential. I don't know.
Yeah. I think another thing to keep in to make sure you're doing when starting is to keep it simple. Like you don't have to get some $600 camera or spend 5 hours editing a video. You can literally just start with your cell phone. I mean, my first probably my first 20 videos were filmed with my cell phone, and my first 150 videos were edited with my cell phone. And just be like, hey, my name's Josh. I'm starting a reselling business. I was just laid off from my job yesterday, and today's my first day. And then just have like 4 or 5 clips about what you did that day, make a 3 or 4 minute video and post it.
Yeah.
Maybe 5 people check it out. And then if you do that every day, or every week or every month, whatever you want to do, just to give people a look into your life. And again, at the very least, document it. So that way you're not taking a ton of time out of your day to like edit something incredibly complicated. I don't know. A lot of people start their do their first video, and it's like a how to ship baseball bats, when there's 50,000 other videos on YouTube about how to ship baseball bats. So that's not something people are going to be interested in. People want to see you. They want to see your journey. They want to see, how you're running your business. Like we don't need another how to ship shoes video. I want to see Caleb. I want to see Caleb's life, how he's running his business, why he's making the decisions he's making, why he's avoiding the things he's avoiding. I want to see something unique, not something I've seen 1,000 times.
Yeah.
And you're good at that. You're very, very good at that.
Well, I appreciate that, man. It's taken a little bit. I went back and watched an early video recently, and it's so easy to see all the things that are wrong in retrospect. But I think the biggest thing I did right was just start, knowing that it's not going to be perfect. Yeah.
A few people have gone back and watched some of my earlier videos. If you guys haven't, I would highly suggest doing that. Not because they're monetized or for views or anything, but I have some videos that I don't know. I always like going back to see, when I find a new channel, I look at their most popular video and their least popular video. And I try to see like the comparisons, like when was it posted? I want to see how they started. It's all about finding, like when I started on YouTube, I found like the top 10 creators like Rally Roots and Cincinnati Picker and all that stuff. And I just looked at their channel, like everything, their banner, their name, their titles, their thumbnails, and reverse engineered it. I'm like, why are they the top? Like, what are they doing that has created this level of entertainment or enjoyment in the community above? Why are they better than the 10,000 other flippers and pickers in the world? That's what you have to do. And sometimes, like you said, it's not just about the work. It requires talent. Some people can sing really well, but they're not famous because they just don't have that. Maybe they're terrible speakers. Like they're just not good on camera. There's actors and actresses that are really good at acting, but then in public, they're just really weird to talk to,
Yeah. And I think maybe the biggest thing it requires is the ability to delay gratification. Like one of the biggest stories that inspires me is Mr. Beast, right? Have you heard much of his origin story on YouTube?
Yeah. Starting in North Carolina, just like as a high schooler, he's like, I'm gonna be a big YouTuber. I'm gonna do things that nobody else is willing to do, put in crazy hours right now and just get attention.
And he made his first like few hundred videos, maybe over 1,000 on his crappy laptop webcam.
Yeah. And he leaves them up. You can still go back and watch them.
Yeah, he didn't upgrade until he got enough money from AdSense with like freaking 2,000 subscribers to buy a camera. And then he was like, all right, I have a camera now. And he kept going, and he did things that no one else in the right mind would be willing to do to gain that competitive advantage, right? I'm going to count to 100,000 on stream. Are people going to watch the whole thing? No, but they're going to have to click to see if the dude's actually doing it. This thing is, it's a 20-hour long video.
Yeah.
Who does that? I don't know.
Yeah, I love his story so much. Have you seen the video that he like recorded it like 4 years ago or something, and like upload later?
The time capsule video.
Yeah, he was like talking. He's like, I hope I'm at 1 million subs. I better be at 1 million subs. I'm like, actually, you're at like 60 million or whatever he is.
It's crazy. Oh, but what I wanted to say is that dude grinded for years in obscurity, complete obscurity, like a few thousand subscribers for like, that's how he spent his teens. And now he's like 24 years old and the fastest YouTube growing channel in history.
Yeah.
Fastest growing YouTube channel. There we go. Words are hard.
I like what you said earlier about keeping videos short, because he'll do a video that probably doesn't cost him. It costs his sponsors tens of millions of dollars probably. And like hiring people, like the the burger restaurant he just opened up. Like it had to be millions of dollars that they just gave away in the video, you know, not to mention the like renting the restaurant and everything. And that video was like 6 or 7 minutes long. I'm like, he's doing these huge productions and keeping them so short because, again, he's factoring in the virality. Nobody's going to watch. You could easily make that a 30-minute video with a ton of ads, but let's keep it nice and short and easy to watch so it can get 40 million views in 3 days.
Yep, top of trending. He knows, man. And I'm telling you, people, those are the kind of people that you have to be learning from if you want to be on YouTube. I kind of feel bad. Hopefully there are some other people who have YouTube channels here because I've spent a lot of time talking about it, but they're the gold standard.
Yeah, for sure. I've seen a couple people reference Chase After the Right Price. I've seen a couple of his videos, but haven't watched a ton.
Oh, you need to do more, man. That's my favorite channel right there.
That's awesome. I need to get into
totally
that.
Underrated. I say that mostly because, in a way, my entire channel is kind of yoinked from his.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was kind of the original, in my mind, like video game reseller YouTuber specifically, right? Like there are plenty of channels that'll do game hunting and like game reviews and stuff like that, but none as a full-time income. Like I buy and resell video games as a full-time income. Watching his videos was like the biggest thing that opened my eyes to like, oh, this actually is possible despite the million people out there saying there's too much competition and it's oversaturated and you can't do volume and all these things. I sat there and watched him run his business on YouTube and was like, oh, shoot, it is possible. I'm going to try it.
He's in the chat.
Chase is in here. I love it.
What's up, man?
Yeah, subscribe to Chase After the Right Price, too. He is far underrated.
I'll take your word for it. I've watched a lot of resellers. I don't, like I said, I don't watch like full videos that much, but I ping around in the recommended and the reselling hashtag. And I like I said, I've seen a couple of his videos, but I don't think I've subscribed yet. I'll definitely.
You know what? One of my favorite things to do is I'll search some generic term like reseller or eBay or like what sold or whatever, and I'll sort by upload date.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not showing me the relevant or most viewed ones, so that it like I'll get all kinds of like super tiny channels that like never get any views. And you know, I like interacting with those kinds of people that are like just in it like for the heart, you know?
Yeah. That's one of my favorite things to do is just if I'll see, I don't know, somebody's doing like a live video and they've got like 4 people in there, I'll just like pop in and say hello. And it's weird because I feel like I'm just a guy, you know, I'm just Josh. But then when I join in, it's like when Rally Roots joined our chat, everybody's like, oh my gosh, Rally Roots is here. All right.
Yeah.
People, you know, like it's just normal people. But you know, as you grow, you become more of a, I guess, an influencer. I hate that word, but you have some weight in the community. And then if you can take the time out of your day to, you know, pop your head in places that people don't normally expect to see your head, it means a lot to them sometimes.
Yeah.
All right, Caleb. Well, I don't want to take too much of your time, man. I want to let you get back to going to GameStop.com. I think somebody said they were having a secret sale today that they weren't advertising.
Uh-oh.
So I don't know. You probably know about it, but
what they may be talking about is that their online sale also applies to in-store.
Okay.
So that could be something. Oftentimes it doesn't. So yeah, folks, get on out to your GameStops. If you sell on Amazon, there's a lot of opportunity there.
For sure. Well, Caleb, thank you so much for joining me, man. I really appreciate it. Sorry for the technical difficulties in the beginning. Luckily, I think the whole stream worked. I think if you guys enjoyed the stream tonight, be sure to hit the like button. Also, go subscribe to Caleb's channel. I'm gonna put the link to his channel in the description in the description eventually after this. But there's a link to it in the chat there. Go check it out. Like I said, subscribers don't matter, so don't subscribe. But I'm just kidding. Subscribe, but check out his videos. I really think you guys are gonna like them if you haven't seen them before. He does a really good job of editing, and I think the most impressive thing about your channel is the way you can get out your words without fillers. Like that's something that I try really hard to do. Like that's the reason I have the same intro and outro in all my videos, because I've memorized it and I can say it without ums and buts. but you'll have like a whole 2-minute segment without a single or but, like a really continuous and complete thought. And I'm like, man, that is great. I love it.
Well, don't believe everything you hear. You'd be surprised the number of micro edits that I do.
Well, I love it, man. Either way, edit it out. That's fine. Edit out the ums and buts. You just make your videos very, very engaging and easy to watch for sure. And I think if people haven't watched your videos already and then they watch them because of this live stream, they will not be disappointed. So again, thank you so much for joining me, Caleb. Thank you guys for watching. Remember, hit the like button on this video if you liked it at all, and we'll catch you